So, good day to our honorable panelists, fellow students, and our esteemed audience. Welcome to today's academic forum. We are gathered here to discuss a challenge that every language learner faces: the affective filter. We know that even the most brilliant students can struggle to achieve fluency if they are paralyzed by the fear of making mistakes. In traditional settings, the pressure to be perfect often acts as a barrier to actual communication. So today, our goal is to shift the focus from anxiety to action. We want to look at how we can transform the classroom into a space where students want to speak because they are genuinely immersed in the process. To help us navigate this, I am joined by two experts with distinct but complementary perspective. Panelist one, Kamalin, who will be sharing insight on game-based learning. She will explain on how integrating actual games into the curriculum can lower anxiety and foster fluency through play. And panelist two, Shamira, who specializes in storytelling and drama techniques. She will discuss on how using the creative arts and narrative can build emotional connection to the English language. As your moderator, Irman, I will be guiding our discussion through three key areas. The first one, psychology of learning. The second one, the balance of academic rigor. And the last one, the importance of inclusivity. Without further ado, let's dive into our first segment on overcoming affective filters. The first one, overcoming affective filter. So both of our methods aim to lower student anxiety, but they do so through different psychological triggers. So panelist one, how exactly does the play element in gaming bypass the fear of making grammatical errors?
Thank you, Moderator Irman. Before I answer that directly, I think it's important for us to understand the key concept in language learning called the effective filter that introduced by the linguist Stephen Krashen. Think of this filter as an invisible physical wall, psychological wall. When a student is stressed, bored, or afraid of looking silly, the wall will goes up. Even if the teacher is providing the best information, the language cannot get into the brain because of that filter blocks it. Now, to answer your question, the reason why play is so powerful is that it is the ultimate of the filter killer. When we use game-based learning or GBL, the students' focus shift from is my grammar correct to how do I win this mission? Because the goal is the game, the anxiety drop, and the effective filter goes down. In this low filter state, students start using English naturally and fluently because they are not afraid of making mistake anymore. In a game, a mistake is just a retry and not a failure. This is how play bypass the fear of grammar and it made the language as a tool for fun rather than the source of stress. For example, in a class, we play a board game. The whiteboard will be divided into two parts, and the student must write as much as they can find about things you can find in a kitchen. All the students will come to the front and work together to write the vocabulary, all the vocabulary they know. Thus, the pupil won't feel shy or scared to write down because they did it in excitement. The only thought in their head that time is, am I the winner and not do I write it correctly? So the result what they wrote are not the main focus anymore.
So thank you for the insightful answer, Kamali. So panelist two, similarly, how does adopting a persona in drama help a student feel safer when speaking a second language compared to traditional methods?
Thank you, Irman. So, from a drama perspective, adopting a persona creates a psychological safe distance between the student and the language they are using. So, when the students speak as a character instead of themselves, the fear of making mistake is slightly reduced because the mistake is no longer personal. Instead, they It belongs to the character. So this helps lower the anxiety and builds confidence. In addition, drama activities often focus on expression and meaning rather than perfect grammar. So students they will become more engaged in communicating ideas, emotions, and stories. So as a result, they are more willing to take risk in using the second language, which is a crucial step in language acquisition.
That is a fascinating look into the student psyche. So, panelist one, I'm particularly struck by your description of game as a filter killer. So, the idea that the mission of the game becomes so urgent that the student literally forgets to be afraid. And panelist two, your point about psychological distance perfectly complements that. If the character makes a mistake, the student's ego remains intact. It seems that both of the methods succeed by distracting the student from their own insecurities. So moving to our segment two, balancing fun with academic rigor. So a common critique that these methods might prioritize fun over actual linguistic progress. So panelist one, how do you ensure that fluency through play doesn't result in students using broken English just to win a game?
Okay, how do you ensure that fluency through play doesn't result in a student using broken English? Okay, so that is a very important point. We don't want fun to mean as a lazy English. To prevent this, I use what I call it as a high stack game mechanism. Instead of just letting students talk freely, we give the game a grammar rules. A great example that we can do of this game, we all know that we can do a game of Simon Says, but with a little bit of academic twist. In a normal game, you just listen for Simon Says, but in my classroom, the trigger is the grammar. Tell the class, if I say a sentence in the past tense, touch your nose. If it is in the present tense, clap your hand. If I say I went to the store and the student clap, they are up. This is why it's work. To win the game, the student cannot just guess or just use a broken logic. They have to listen with 100% focus to the linguistic rules of English. The game actually punish broken understanding and reward an academic precision. By the end of the game, the students have done a high level grammar drills, but they enjoy it because it feels like a challenge and not a worksheet. We use the excitement of the game to force the brain to pay attention for the details of the language.
So thank you for insightful answer, panelist one. So panelist two, for storytelling, how do you transition a student from simple creative expression to more formal academic language that required by the curriculum?
Well, that's a very important concern. While storytelling begins with creativity, it should not stop there. As educators, we guide students through a structured progression. So, initially, students may use simple and informal language to express ideas. Then, through feedback and modeling, we gradually introduce more accurate grammar, richer vocabulary, and proper sentence structure. For example, after a storytelling activity, we can ask students to rewrite their stories using more formal language or correct grammatical errors together as a class. So this way, students can move from creative expression to academic proficiency, ensuring that learning outcomes are still achieved.
So I appreciate that. Clarification. So it's clear that neither of you is suggesting that we abandon grammar. So panelist one, you mentioned of high stakes mechanics shows that games can actually be more rigorous than worksheet because they require instance and accurate application. And panelist two, your focus on structured scaffolding, moving from a creative draft to a formal rewrite, proves that drama is simply the hook that leads to deeper academic work. So it's not just about having fun, it's also about making the hard works enjoyable. So moving to our last segment, inclusivity and diverse learners. Diverse learner. So not every student is naturally competitive or comfortable in the spotlight. So panelist one. So how can game-based learning be adapted for introverted students who might find the high energy of gaming overwhelming?
Okay, thank you, Irman. That is a very important question. Not every student want to be the loudest person in the room. To make game-based learning inclusive, we change how students win. First, as I mentioned, we move from competitive to collaborative. Instead of the game me versus you, it is us and the challenge. When students work in a small group to solve a puzzle, the pressure is shared. The shy student feels safe because they are supported by their friends. Second, we use the method of think, pair, share games. Before the big game start, I give students 2 minutes to talk to just one partner. This is as a mini game where they practice their English in private. By the time the main game start, the introvert student already feel warm up and feel confident because they have already practiced their words with a friend. And finally, we use a scavenger's hunt. In this game, students move around at their own pace to find clues. It's not about who screamed the loudest. It's about who is the most observant. By this method, this allow the quiet student, thoughtful student to shine because they are often the best at finding a hidden details than the loud student miss. So in GBL, isn't just for the fast and the loudest. It's for the thinker and the observer too.
Thank you for the clarification. So panelist two, for students with low self-confidence, what are the scaffolding step you take in drama to ensure that they don't feel exposed or embarrassed in front of the peers?
So that's a very valid point. Drama can be intimidating if not handled carefully, especially for students with low self confidence. So, to address this, we use scaffolding. First, we start with low risk activities such as group storytelling, pair works, or even simple role play where students are not alone. So, this can reduce pressure. Next, we allow students to prepare scripts or rehearse before performing, which help them to feel more secure. So teachers can also assign supportive roles such as narrator or group member instead of forcing students into spotlight immediately. Most importantly, we create a supportive classroom environment where mistakes are seen as part of the learning, not something to be embarrassed about. Over time, students students gradually build confidence and become more comfortable in expressing themselves.
So those are very thoughtful strategies for inclusivity. So I love the idea of collaborative puzzles where the win belongs to the group, not the individual, and the use of pre-rehearsed roles in the drama to build confidence slowly. So you have both shown that these aren't just extracurricular tricks; they are highly adaptable to pedagogical tools that respect the diversity of learner personalities. So that's the end of our forum today. Thank you for lending your ears. Bye.
Bye.